This is the Horror Movie Show on hmpod.com, your one-stop shop for all things horrific and horror-related. Read the reviews, frolic in the forum, hem and haw over the horoscopes, and listen mightily to the Horror Movie Show with Mark and Jerry, your horrible hosts.
Well, hello there. Jerry here.
And Mark.
And bringing you another episode of the Horror Movie Show at hmpod.com, also on Facebook, also on iTunes, also in China under an assumed hairpiece.
I thought your local drugstore.
Yeah, that too. So we got a few movies to talk about, and maybe something special we're going to talk about later, which has absolutely nothing to do with horror and everything to do with comedy. But for now, let's start with our usual traditional sort of horror movies. I don't know how much of this fits in, but we're going to talk briefly about Kick-Ass 2.
Dun, dun, dun.
New movie this year, written and directed by Jeff Wadlow. Stars same as the first one. Stars Aaron Taylor Johnson as Dave, also Kick-Ass. Chloe Grace Moretz as Mindy McCready, also known as Hit Girl. In this one, the father figure has been replaced with Jim Carrey as Colonel Stars and Stripes. Also in the movie, Lindy Booth plays Night Bitch. Andy Nyman plays The Tumor. Clark Duke plays Marty and also Battle Guy. Augustus Prue plays Todd and Ass Kicker. And perhaps most importantly, Christopher Mintz-Plasse plays Chris D'Amico, and also I'll just call him the Mofo, because we can't give his actual character's name.
I was wondering if you were going to go through with it.
We're just going to call him the Mofo because he shouts that name out all the time in all its glory. So this movie takes place several years after the original Kick-Ass. Now, my problem is that in the first Kick-Ass, Dave, who becomes Kick-Ass, he's a high school senior.
Yeah.
He's in, like, the equivalent of grade, in Canada here, grade 11 or grade 12. So he's supposed to be 17 years old. I think they say he's 17 years old, right? So he's a young fellow. Mm. Mindy, I believe in Kick-Ass, it's mentioned that she is 11. She's certainly a little girl. Mm-hmm. She hasn't hit puberty yet, so she's 11 probably at most. In this movie, Mindy is in the same school, and she's in high school. So she's there alongside, she's now supposed to be about 15, which would make Kick-Ass in his early 20s, and yet he's still going to high school, and all his friends are still in high school with him. Mm-hmm. What the hell were they thinking? Are we just supposed to say, oh, okay, well, we'll just forgive that because we want another Kick-Ass sequel. We'll forgive the fact that they didn't even try to come up with a logical explanation. Dave and his friends could have been in college.
Yeah.
But no, they're all in school together.
Yeah.
Mindy was 11. Dave was 17. That's a big 6-year difference.
Yeah. Dave
is out of high school when Mindy is in high school.
Right.
That, right off the bat, really made me angry. And I have to say, as with 90% of sequels, this one not only doesn't live up to the first one, it isn't even a shadow of the first one. It's really, really mean-spirited. It's cruel.
You know, as much as you think it's cruel,
yeah,
I glanced through the comic. The movie follows it quite closely.
Yeah.
The comic's more graphic. At one point, Mofo mows down kids.
Yeah.
He didn't do that in the movie.
No, Mark. But it's a drawing. The movie, they act it out, or at least do it CGI, so it's supposed to look like people. I can't really get upset when children are killed in a comic. Sorry, it doesn't bother me at all.
I'm just saying that they even toned it down for the movie.
All right, well, that's as may be. I don't think you can compare Kick-Ass 2 to a comic, even if it's a carbon copy. This movie is just such a naked money grab that it just made me angry right at the beginning, and I don't think I ever got over it. I just found it to be pretty much a worthless piece of trash. The only thing I liked in it was Chloe Grace Moretz. She was the best thing in the first movie. She's the best thing in this. She's just a very enjoyable young actress to watch. The first time I saw her was I was down in L.A. and I saw her in Let Me In, which was a remake of a Scandinavian movie, Let the Right One In.
Right.
And she was just a kid, 8 or 9 years old, something like that. And she's terrific. Her and the little boy, yeah, he went on to be in The Road as the boy. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but yeah, they were both really good. The two kids carried that movie, which was about the two kids. But in this one, she's asked to carry the whole movie, and she can't do it.
It's not realistic either, because she's this vigilante girl, right?
Yeah.
And, her dad just says, oh, promise me you're not going to do this anymore. And it's like, just over, like, a couple seconds, she says, okay. And that's it for her career.
She might call him dad, but it's like her guardian.
Yeah.
You're talking about the black detective, right? Who was her dead father's former partner.
Right.
She says this right at the beginning, that her real father made her promise to continue the fight.
Right.
Continue the good fight against evildoers. So, yeah, okay, she gets into some trouble, and her adopted father, guardian, makes her promise not to do it anymore. And, of course, she continues to do it with the slightest provocation.
Well, no, she does.
Dave whines at her.
Well, no, she does stop for a while.
A little while.
And I thought it was funny, the whole scene, all the scenes with her trying to fit in with the rest of the girls at school.
The mean girls.
Yeah, the cliquey girls.
Yeah.
And, going for cheerleading and all that stuff.
Well, that's where she falls down. She thinks that she'll fit in better if she shows off.
Right.
And she uses all her kick girl moves, her whatever, hit girl moves, and she's flipping and jumping and running around. And that, of course, only upsets the leader of the clique.
The big biatch.
And from then on, they're enemies.
Yeah.
But, the fact that hit girl Mindy brings to school just to torture these nasty, mean girls, she brings along the, what does she call it, the puke stick? Something?
Yeah.
And it's like a taser, and you hit somebody with it, and they immediately open up at both ends.
Yes.
So, okay, she hits the two lieutenants of the head mean girl, and they're vomiting into each other's faces, and then she hits the head mean girl, who we see a real full body shot of her from the side. Not only is she vomiting nonstop, but there's a thick sludge of diarrhea coming out of her back end,
which was not really well done.
No, it looked totally phony, didn't it? It looked like she was holding a couple of hoses.
Yeah, she looked like she was animated.
Yeah, it's just awful. And if that's supposed to endear us to Mindy, that, isn't she clever, looking out for herself with superhero weapons?
Yeah.
It's just nasty. And another, there's lots of characters that I don't like in this. The Christopher Mintz-Plasse character, Mofo, he's just an unpleasant little creep. But you have Clark Duke, who plays Dave's best friend Marty, and then tries to become a superhero himself, called Battle Guy. He's the same kid who was in Hot Tub Time Machine, and he also was a regular in the last couple of years of the U.S. version of The Office.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't see why he's hired all the time. He looks about 12. He's got this moon face.
He has this really young face. Yes.
Real chubby little moon face. But I don't find him funny or entertaining. He's just sort of like a sarcastic little creep. I would have liked to see him get vomited on. And then the other one of the friends from the first movie, Augustus Prue is the actor's name. He plays Todd, who's sort of the third in the best friends, and he can't come up with his own name, so he calls himself Ass Kicker.
Yeah.
But he goes to the dark side. He goes to the dark side because, like, they're talking about him behind his back or something.
Yeah, they were making fun of him.
They're such petulant little punks. I mean, these guys, they want to consider themselves superheroes. They want to act like superheroes, but they don't even have the maturity of a 12-year-old girl, you know?
Yeah.
It's
this
ridiculous.
I thought the whole thing with Mofo and all his cronies just so ridiculous as well. And the fact that they brought in another subplot with his uncle or something in jail.
Yeah.
What was that all about?
I have no idea.
And they did and never follow up with that.
Well, the idea is that is the uncle the head of the mafia family, or is the kid?
Yeah.
Because it was the kid's father who was. But the father's brother is like the logical choice.
Yeah.
Because the other kid, if he's the same age as Kick-Ass, and for that matter Mindy, then he should still only be 17 or 18 years old.
Yeah.
So nobody would listen to him. He's got lots of money, sure, but how is it he's got access to all this money? Because his mother is the one that he's scared of. His mother is the one telling him what to do.
Yeah.
It is not logical. And, you know, I only just watched Kick-Ass a month ago because I had never seen it. I'd seen bits of it, but I'd never watched it all the way through. So about a month ago, I checked Netflix. There it is. I watched it. I actually watched it a second time a few days later because I really enjoyed it. I just thought, what great fun. And the crudity didn't bother me. The violence didn't bother me because it was all in connection with what I thought was a really good original story. This one, nothing original. The cruelty is just mean-spirited.
Yeah.
And it's not funny.
Yeah.
It's just a violent, nasty psycho's wet dream.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, is that they lose the black humor.
Yeah, yeah.
And
which is what made the first movie.
That's the thing.
The humor, yeah.
And how many movies we see that the sequels, for some reason, are always more mean-spirited than the original movie. Yeah. And this is likewise. I agree with you. I was trying to figure out who the heck was this movie made for. Yeah. Because it's a kiddie kind of...
Well, it looks like it should be a kid's movie, but of course Kick-Ass wasn't a kid's movie either.
No. It looks like a kid's movie, but it's nasty.
Yeah.
And I'm going, the people who are going to be drawn to this are not going to like this nastiness.
No. If they like the first movie, I can't see people really liking Kick-Ass 2 unless the only thing they liked in the first movie was the violence.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of violence in this. But none of the violence is as clever as in the first one. I love the fact that in the first one, the mafia don gets blown away. He's hit with a bazooka shell, pushed out of his penthouse window, and you see him traveling like a block through the air before the missile blows up, and he's scattered to the four winds. You know, it's just so funny. Even the first one had its weirdnesses, like why the Chris D'Amico's character, Red Mist, he actually sort of fell in love with the idea of being a good superhero.
Yeah,
because he didn't want Kick-Ass to be killed. He said, no, he's just a kid. He's just a kid. Let him go. Let him go. It's the Mindy's dad that they were after.
Right.
But in this movie, he's decided he's going to be completely and utterly evil, and I mean, they might as well have had him stamping on kittens and puppies.
Yeah, and that's what they did in the comic book. They had him killing off kids.
Yeah.
You know, no remorse, no redeeming qualities whatsoever.
I haven't read the comic, but I'll bet it's better than this sequel was. You know, because halfway through you could go, what the hell are we doing? This isn't worth reading.
Yeah.
Whereas this movie, you know, hey, we've spent this much so far, we better keep going. They just waited too long to do the sequel, is what they did. They should have made the sequel the next year. Mm-hmm. Why'd they wait 4 years to make the sequel? Doesn't make any sense to me.
I don't know.
Yeah, well, they're greedy. Greedy. Shame on you, Jeff Wadlow. I don't have the credits for Kick-Ass the first, but if he's the guy behind the first one, then he really, somehow or other, he got some bad coke or something, because his brain has gone soft. And if he didn't have anything to do with the first one, then they definitely hired the wrong writer-director. Now, let's move on to another sequel. one that I wasn't that keen on the original.
And I was more liking it.
And Mark liked the original more than I did. The original was VHS, and this is VHS 2. A less original title you couldn't come up with. VHS was bad enough, but VHS 2...
Get on with the DVD now.
Yeah, well, that too. Well, that's the other thing. It was silly a couple of years ago when we reviewed VHS, and ooh, the horror of a room full of unmarked VHS tapes.
Yes.
Ooh. And this one is essentially the same thing. It's an anthology movie.
Yes.
It's just a framework to show us, I think it's four different segments.
Yeah.
And all
wrapping it up.
Sandwiched between
one other segment.
Yeah, these two people who've broken into a house and they're...
No, they're detectives, and they're looking for one of the kids that disappeared in the first movie.
In the first one, but there's a girl who just sits on the floor watching.
Yeah, she's his partner.
Oh, okay, all right.
So like they're PIs, they're hired to go find this guy, and they knew that he was in this house.
That's right. They're not cops. They're private dicks, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So now some of the scenes in this.
Okay, I've named
really
I've made
good.
Names for the scenes, even though they have their own names, but I've given them names of my own.
Okay.
And I call the first one Man with Artificial Eye, Girl with Bionic Ear.
That's Phase 1 Clinical Trials.
Yeah.
That's the name of it.
And the second part I call Biker Action Cam, or Day in the Life of a Zombie.
Right, and that's called A Ride in the Park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the next one I call A Day with the Cult.
Oh, this is my favorite one. I love this one. That's called, the real title is Safe Haven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the last one, My Weekend with Aliens.
Right. Slumber Party Alien Abduction is the actual title. And holding it all together is interlocking scenes is called Tape 49.
Mm-hmm. Which is them looking for this guy.
This had 7 different directors, and 9 different writers.
Yeah.
And I'll just name a couple of them, names that I recognized. Adam Wingard, he's done a lot. Certainly, I think he was in the first one as a director. Oh no, these are the actors. But I think he's a director as well. Mindy Robinson, Simon Barrett, Kelsey Abbott, Lawrence Michael Levine. Yeah, I tell you, that Safe Haven, the one about the cult.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. That one had me jumping and twitching in my seat. That is like the best suspense, because it's like, oh my God, around every corner there's another one of these cult loonies.
Well,
they're a death cult. Like,
yeah.
But it's a little, it's like it's set in the Philippines, and it's like a little Philippine group of 3 or 4 friends who've got a camera, and they want to do a behind-the-scenes documentary on this cult.
Yeah.
And bad luck for them, they've hit the cult on the day that the Holy Father has decided, we're changing. We're
going to the next level.
Next level.
Oh man!
And the reason that the filmmakers were even allowed in is because they needed more blood.
And one of the girls in the crew was pregnant.
Yes,
they needed her.
That's right. Yes, it's just so.
It goes off.
Really scary.
All of these segments are like handheld cameras.
Oh, yeah, that bothers me. Queasy cam, as Ebert used to call it.
And one was an actual camera eye.
Right.
The first segment, which I thought was funny, because when he cuts it out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's nasty. Yeah.
Anyway.
But he still had the other eye. A Day with the Cult was the longest piece of the 4. And the best one, in my opinion.
And it's like one chase movie, one chase scene after another.
It's great.
And so many. It's always impressive when they can put on all these special effects at the same time as it looks like it's a handheld camera and no cuts. And yet people are blowing up. And people are crawling in the ceiling.
Yeah.
People. Right. Oh man! And people. They go in there, and there's a classroom of kids.
Yeah.
And they're all ready to take the drink.
The Kool-Aid.
The Kool-Aid.
You're going to drink
and
the
they
Kool-Aid.
do. And then the guy runs you see them just before they drink the Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
And then the guy runs through later on, and they're all dead on their desk.
Yeah.
And then he runs through again, and they're all zombies.
Yeah.
They've all risen from the dead.
Yeah.
It's like everybody who gets killed in this thing rises from the dead.
The Holy Father's definitely on to something.
Yeah.
Whatever this cult is, they're not like Jim Jones.
And
they do have something on the ball.
And then there's this resurrection of this beast that comes. Oh, man, that was a good scene.
Oh, it is. I really this is one of the best horror movies I've seen in a while, and it's down. I would say 75%. It's the safe haven segment. The Phase 1 clinical trials, which is about an artificial camera eye being put into this guy.
Suddenly he can see
ghosts.
Ghosts and not just ghosts, but these things can interact with him.
Yeah.
And
well,
he meets up with a girl with
him.
I like the fact he meets up with that girl with the artificial ear and she can hear them, but she can't see them.
Can't see them, yeah.
And the thing is, this movie in its entirety is really cool because it gives you all the meat of a horror movie without having to watch the whole horror movie.
All that boring getting to know characters stuff.
Because there's none of that. Really isn't any of that.
The strictly speaking zombie scene, a ride in the park, is just a young guy out on his bike.
He's got one of these action cams on his helmet.
Right. Yes, of course. And he has to have a camera.
But that's the beauty behind it. It's the day of the life of a zombie. It's a guy going out for a bike ride, ending up being bitten, and ending up being a zombie, and then going chasing people.
Yes, he gets bitten. He gets bitten badly, and he falls down. And the camera's not moving, and he's dead. And then the camera starts moving, and then he's up again. And he's just because he's got a bike helmet on his head.
Yeah, he's attacking people that are investigating his body.
Yeah, that was cruel. He stumbles, because it's a public park, he stumbles into this sort of covered area where they have barbecue.
Yeah, there's a birthday party going on.
There's a big birthday party going on.
A bunch of
Blow
kids.
out your candles, little Julie, and little Julie puffs her cheeks, and the next thing, here comes that zombie. And the kids, not everybody is getting killed, but lots of people are awful slow and stupid, evidently, because by the end of the little movie, there's a lot of zombies.
It doesn't take them long to turn into zombies either.
No.
I mean,
that's the fun kind of zombie.
Yeah, within a minute they're retching all this black bile coming out of them, and the next thing you know it, they're zombies.
Yeah.
So the last part with the aliens, again with the big horn,
right?
That was kind of cool.
Big horn?
Yeah, you had this big loud noise. Boom! It just shook the room.
Right.
You might have not noticed, but I got surround sound.
It
really shook the room with this big sound.
Didn't notice that.
And again, it's just a weekend out. Parents are gone for the weekend, and the kids are having a party, and these aliens show up, and they're the kinds with the big black eyes and the grays. The grays.
Take us to your parents' liquor cabinet.
Yeah. And of course, everybody's running all around the place. But yeah, that's the beauty behind this thing. Is it's like it cuts to the chase.
Yeah.
You don't have to. You don't know who these people are. You don't really care. You just know that it's something bad's going to happen.
Yeah. It was well done, and I really thought the first VHS was insipid. There isn't a single segment that I would say, that was really worth watching. But this one, there were a couple, and I'll tell you that Safe Haven, the one about the Filipino cult or Samoan cult.
All done with subtitles.
Oh, I didn't see subtitles?
Oh, yeah.
On the copy I saw, it didn't have subtitles.
Oh, mine had subtitles going through the whole thing.
No, not mine. There you go.
You mean you didn't know what they were saying? Because it was all
dubbed in English.
Not in mine.
Oh, mine was.
Oh.
Ha! We downloaded different versions, I guess. All right, I would say go for the one that's dubbed.
No, I thought the subtitles were really good.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's funny. All right, let's get on to our next movie. This is a little movie in every sense except the casting.
Yeah.
Good cast here. It's another new movie, 2013, called Bad Milo. Directed by Jacob Vaughn, written by Vaughn and Benjamin Hayes. Stars Ken Marino as Ken, Gillian Jacobs as his wife Sarah, the usually worth watching Patrick Warburton as Phil.
Yeah.
He was Elaine's boyfriend on Seinfeld.
Yeah, among other things.
Among many other things, yeah. Peter Stormare, every time his name comes up, we talk about how much we like him.
Yeah.
He plays a shrink named Highsmith. Stephen Root plays Ken's dad, Roger. And he again, he's always Jimmy James to me. Or the poor loser from Office Space. He's very funny in that too. And a woman that I've had a crush on since I was in high school, and she was on Mary Hartman, Mary Kay Place. She plays Ken's mom. And Beatrice is the character's name. And Beatrice has a boyfriend named Bobby, spelled with an I, who's portrayed by a very funny Indian American actor named Kumail Nanjiani. He shows up on chat shows like Chelsea Lately and stuff like that. He is really, really funny, and he's got kind of a baby face. And in this, because he's Ken's mother's boyfriend, he tries desperately to act like Ken's dad.
Yeah.
And he just fails miserably. Every single bit of advice that he wants to give Ken, who's older than he is.
Yeah.
That alone is just kind of gross to Ken, that his mom is, and they're talking about their tantric sex and all the stuff that you do not want to hear. But I must say, Mary Kay Place in her 60s looking pretty good.
It's a weird movie.
She's so funny.
We got to say what the movie's about.
Yeah, I wanted to get through the cast there, but what the movie is about is Milo is a creature, like a little anger demon that starts off as a polyp up Ken's bum and quickly grows into a probably
organism,
like a 50-pound monster.
I don't know what it is.
That hides up his bum and comes out when Ken is really, really angry and frustrated.
I like the way
murders people.
It's like they couldn't figure out how the thing was going to get back up there because it goes back in. And he says, "Don't worry about it. He knows what he's doing." And he just bends over.
Yeah.
You never see anything.
No.
But you hear it.
Oh, the stomach gurgles and the rumbling and the grumbling.
I just thought that was just, they don't have to explain it to us. This thing is way too big to be in anything.
Yeah, that's
Yet
right.
It's going to go and fit inside this guy's butt.
Yeah. It's got more teeth in its mouth than a great white shark, and it's got a real hunger for human flesh. But I don't think it kills anybody in the movie who isn't a jerk.
A dick?
A jerk. Yeah. Patrick Warburton is Ken's boss.
Yeah, what a slime bucket.
Oh, he's just horrible. And it's the company they're working for is like a financial operation. Yeah. And Patrick Warburton's character is emptying everybody's accounts into his own pocket. And
he's downsizing.
He's forced Ken, who's a sensitive sort of person.
He's an accountant.
He's a very sensitive fellow. And Ken has been forced by Warburton to be the killer, to fire everybody. And the firing method is basically Ken sitting across a table, giving them a package which contains like various rabbits, feeds,
condoms.
This like 60-year-old matronly looking woman, big long string of about a dozen Magnum condoms, extra large for your pleasure.
This is obviously a comedy.
Oh well, yeah, it's a black comedy.
Yeah. Ken Marino's been in it. He does a lot of comedy. He does Rob Corddry's Children's Hospital.
Oh, okay. Clown Hospital.
No, Children's Hospital.
Is it called Children because
he's a clown?
They play clowns in it.
No, just Rob Corddry plays a clown.
Is he the only one?
Yeah.
Oh, I've only seen moments of it.
Yeah, he is the only clown.
Oh, I had no idea.
The rest, this guy plays a Jewish doctor.
Okay.
Which is funny in itself.
You know who he reminds me of, and who could have done this role, I think, even better, is Nathan Fillion.
Oh, yeah.
He looks like Nathan Fillion.
He does, sort of.
A lot of the same expression. And also, what's his name? Jason
Bateman.
The three of them could be brothers.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of the same moves. They all play that sort of twitchy, uncomfortable in their own skin character.
I did a look at what else he's done,
right?
And he does a voice in something called Axe Cop
Oh, I don't know what that is.
It's a new animation. There's only six of them for the first season.
Oh yeah, that's typical these
days. And it's based on a Dark Horse comic, which took over from a web comic that originally. And the original writers of this thing are a 5-year-old and the artist who draws the 5-year-old's characters.
Oh, I kind of like that.
And it's about this cop that goes around with his big axe.
Right.
and kills people.
Right. Bad guys beware.
And there's also a unicorn in the comic, in the cartoon. I haven't seen it yet.
You know, that could be very, very amusing. I hope this doesn't become a trend of hiring
kids,
toddlers.
Well, they're probably. He was a friend of the family, and the kid probably had a good imagination and started spouting out. And the guy decided to do a web zine over it.
Yeah, you never know how it's been edited.
The kid's now 8 years. 8 years old, because the comic came out in 2009.
He's past it now. You can't do anything when you're 8.
But I thought that was funny.
A cute idea. So this is very cartoony. It's like a little bit like the funnier scenes from the Twilight Zone movie. You know, it's pure fantasy. Because this demonic anger creature Milo couldn't live where it lives, and he doesn't just live there, but he like goes in and out.
Yeah, every time he's got some sort of link with Ken.
Yes.
And I like the shrink.
Yeah. Peter Stormare is always funny.
Because, he's trying to justify this thing coming out of this guy's butt.
Yeah. And don't kill it. You'll be killing part of yourself. It's like lobotomizing yourself. Don't do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just thought the whole rationale.
Yeah. Don't want to give anything away, but Stephen Root, as Ken's dad, has his own secrets, and it's so funny what he gets up to in this movie too. He's not in it very much. You don't see him until the movie is like 3/4 over, and then he's in again near the end, and that's about it. But it's a great cast, you know. I don't think it would have been worth watching if they hadn't had decent actors, because it's a pretty stupid movie.
Yeah.
But, Mary Kay Place, Patrick Warburton, Ken Marino, Stephen Root.
They're all good.
And Peter Stormare.
Comedians.
Yeah.
They're all great comedians.
Great comic actors.
So.
And like I say, this Nanjiani guy as Bobby, he's so funny. And when the monster is brought back to the mum's place, who's having a party, I like how the Bobby character is actually hiding behind Mary Kay Place, who's about 5'0" Yeah, so definitely worth watching. And all the copies that I've seen or seen referred to online are calling it Bad Milo, but it is also known simply as Milo.
Yeah.
But I think there's other movies called Milo, so they put the bad in there to differentiate it. So good movie, worth watching. Now we got one more movie we want to talk about, and it's another remake. This time an American remake of I think the original was French. The original was called 13 Zameti, Tzameti, which is an address. And I think it's French, but it may have been sort of Eastern European, too.
Yeah, in this movie, it's not associated with an address. It's his number in the game.
Yes, that's right. So this American remake, which is from 2010, and I didn't see it until recently. I'd heard they were going to make an American remake of it, but I just hadn't lucked into seeing a copy. But this one is just called 13, and as Mark says, this is the number that I can't call him our hero, but our protagonist is given in what is essentially a monstrous all-night game of Russian roulette.
Yeah.
And a bunch of bettors bring in their own boys who then have to play Russian roulette. And they don't play it against their own heads. They stand in a circle, and the gun is placed against the head of the man in front of you. So everybody has a gun to their head, and a light is turned on, and you fire.
Yes.
And if you're lucky, you don't kill the guy in front of you, and the guy behind you is killed before he puts a bullet into your head. So there's all kinds of permutations. Like our hero doesn't even fire his gun into the head of the first time. I think there's a click.
Yes. No, he doesn't fire at all, and they force him to...
That's right.
Pull the trigger.
Torturing the guy in front of him.
Yeah, the guy in front of him was just kind of
waiting even longer now. And when he does finally, it's just an empty chamber.
Yeah, and then the guy turns around and says, "You asshole!"
Yeah, he hits him. He says, you do that to me again.
Yeah. Well, the reason the guy is there is that his parents, his son,
the protagonist. Yeah.
His father needs an operation, and they don't have the money.
They're desperately poor.
There's
your American health system.
Yeah, there you go. He's putting in a security system for a guy.
Right.
And he hears
the guy's shady.
The guy is very shady, and he's listening to his wife, and they're bickering back and forth, and he gets this thing in the mail, an envelope in the mail, and it's a very unique envelope, so you'd recognize it.
Right.
And in it is an invitation or a summons. I don't know what it is.
He already knows that this is going to be coming. This is just like the secret information and a little bit of cash to get him to the next step. But it's very, very secret, as any sort of a murder club would be. So
he hears the guy talking about the amount of money.
And the cops are also, they're shadowing the guy whose house this is.
Yes.
Who is going to... go to the shooting party, and so the cops are there, and the young guy, the workman, manages to steal the envelope.
No, the other guy ODs. And dies.
Same as 13 Zametti. Yes, but the point is that the young guy steals this envelope.
Yeah.
And he has the secret instructions, so now he's in on the party.
Now he doesn't
even know what he's got himself into.
So he doesn't know what's going on.
All he knows is that there's a lot of money involved for a very little work.
Yeah, for a day.
Yeah.
For a day's wages, it's a lot of money.
A lot of money.
So when he gets there, and it's like, go to this train station, go over here.
Yeah.
And the police are trying to follow him.
Buy a ticket to this station and get off one before.
Yeah.
To throw the cops and everything.
And the police are following him, and they
I don't think they're following him.
Yeah, they are. They are trailing him all the way until he gets picked up in the last place, where the taxi driver drops him off, and then they take him to the real place.
Yeah, but the cops can only go as far as finding the cabbie.
Yes.
And the cabbie takes them there, and then they're at a loose end. They have no idea where the guy.
Yeah, the cabbie drops him off in the middle of nowhere. Really,
it's like a turnabout on the highway.
Yeah. And after that point, they don't know where he went, but they know it's in the area.
Yeah.
Anyway, that doesn't really come into play to the end of the movie.
Yeah. Now, as a remake, it's interesting. Mark hasn't seen 13 Zametti, but having seen both of them, I would say the original is better, simply because I'd never seen a game like this before. We've all seen that scene in The Deer Hunter, where the Americans are forced to play Russian roulette against each other.
Right.
But they're putting the guns to their own heads.
Right.
And pulling the trigger. And that's harrowing, and it's horrific, and of course Christopher Walken blows his own brains out in front of Robert De Niro, who's gone there to rescue him. At the end of that movie, it's tragic and monstrous. But this movie, where people are betting on who's going to survive the next round,
yes,
and they just keep getting whittled down and down and down until there's only two guys.
Yeah, there's about 5 people left.
Yeah.
And then they draw a billiard balls.
Billiard balls. Yeah.
And whoever gets they have just whites and blacks in there.
2 white ones. Those are the 2 guys.
No, 2 black ones.
They have
and
to
3
fight
whites.
To the end.
Yeah. And then the guys who survive, there's the 5 of them. The 3 guys that are eliminated at that point just get paid some money and they can leave.
They can leave. Yeah.
And then the 2 remaining ones.
Our boy is
one of the 2 remaining.
Yeah. And sadly for him, he's picked the psycho brother of Jason Statham.
Yeah, who's
let me mention
They've got a lot of famous people.
Yeah, let me mention who's in this, because the original 13 Zametti had no name actors, but this one, Sam Riley plays Vince. He's the protagonist. Jason Statham plays Jasper. His brother Ronald is played by Ray Winstone. Mickey Rourke is in it as a contestant. Michael Shannon, who's always interesting to watch, he plays Henry. He's sort of the master of ceremonies. He stands on a ladder and arranges everybody. And 50 Cent is in it as a player.
Yeah.
And not as a player, but as a bettor named Schlondorf, which is I think a name taken from the original. Ben Gazzara.
Yes.
Who looks about 1 million years old.
And he was putting on some sort of accent, so I wasn't sure if it was him or not.
No, he's had a stroke.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah. No, he couldn't speak very clearly, but so he's sort of slurring his words, but that's old Ben Gazzara.
Because I thought that was him.
Yeah, that was him, yeah.
Jason Statham also plays one of the bettors. He doesn't play a...
Oh, yeah, no, it's as I say, it's his brother, played by Ray Winston, who is the player.
Yeah, and
Jason Statham is betting on his brother, but at the same time, he's playing his brother. He's cruelly playing his brother, and there's a real tension between the two of them because Jason Statham's character is just such a mercenary swine.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't play that game. But he get his big idiot brother to play.
We are given information at the beginning of the movie that Jason Statham has borrowed $2 million in order to get to this thing.
Right.
His brother into the thing. So he's borrowed it from a loan shark.
Oh, he's in trouble if he doesn't win.
If he doesn't win, he's basically dead.
Yeah.
So he's very upset.
He's very, very. Yeah. We don't. Again, hopefully we haven't given too much away, but the testosterone level in this movie. Is there a woman anywhere in this movie other than
the beginning?
The beginning at home?
No.
I don't think there's a woman in it. This is not a girls' game.
No.
No girls allowed.
No.
Yeah. Hollywood could make 13 more sequels to this.
Yeah.
Because it's such an awful subject. But I didn't need to see this having seen 13 Zemetti.
I just thought that it was kind of unrealistic when they kept putting an extra bullet in the chambers as the rounds.
Right.
So there was a good chance that all of them could have got killed at the same time.
It's a possibility, I suppose. Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
So, it's like... When they got to 4 bullets in the chambers, I thought, that's a little ridiculous.
It's getting awful. Those are the odds that Robert De Niro takes in Deer Hunter. He puts 4 because he got the little North Vietnamese monsters convinced that this will be a really exciting game, and of course he just turns the gun on them. He needed 4 bullets because there was 4 of them.
Right.
He's still got 2 empty chambers, but he can still click faster than they can.
Right.
Yeah. So that's how they escape that first time. Now I'll also say this, and not that I'm any huge purist as far as movies go, but 13 Zemetti was in black and white, and I thought it gave it a real gritty, underground, shady look, a criminal look to it.
Right.
That the nice color of this American remake just lacked.
Right. Did it end the same way?
More or less, yeah. I don't want to go any further than that.
Just wanted to ask that.
The stories, there, a few little differences. The original is, that's why I think it's French. I believe they're all talking French, and it's subtitled. The young fellow at the beginning of 13 Zemetti is repairing the roof. And one of the ways that he's able to overhear conversations is he's up on the roof and there's holes in it.
Right.
So he can hear that the husband and wife, the man and his girlfriend, talking about something is coming and expected in the mail any day. And I've already checked the mailbox twice today, and so on and so on. And it's the kid in both movies who bites off way more than he can chew.
Now, in the first couple rounds, he's just sweating buckets.
Oh, God, he's wetting himself.
Yeah. And then
wouldn't be.
And towards the end, he's kind of like become iron.
Yeah, he's steeled himself to it.
Yeah.
No pun intended. Yeah, he is. He's very, he's much tougher. He's just accepted the fact that he's either going to live and have money or he's going to die, and it won't much matter.
Yeah.
He can't help his dad even if he's alive and poor.
Right.
And dead. At least he's not going to be worrying about it anymore.
He definitely won't be worrying about it.
Yeah.
But very interesting rounds, because between each round there's a whole bunch of different betting and different people siding with other people.
Well, when one person's
eliminated
player is dead, then they have to ask permission to bet on another bettor's player. Yeah. So there's a weird, sick kind of politeness and courtesy going on.
Yeah.
However, and this was not in the original, a player is merely wounded
Yeah.
And he's on the ground screaming.
The bullet actually goes through his head.
Yeah.
But he doesn't die.
No, it goes through his face more like. And so he's flopping around on the ground dying, and I think it's Michael Shannon just almost as if he's just stepping over him, just blam. Okay, cart him away. There's a horrible scene when a young fellow near the end of the movie stumbles into the room where all the bodies are.
Yeah.
Jeez. That's all. Zombie movies and all that stuff, nowhere near as terrifying as this movie, because this kind of crap could really happen.
Yeah.
That's why, Saw is one thing, but what's the other movies along similar lines? Hostel, there's just that thin chance that there are sickos out there who really would have a murder club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's what this is. It's a murder club.
Yeah, that's what it is. And that's why the police are trying to catch them.
Oh, yeah.
That whole thing kind of panned out to be not much.
No, the cops they're too smart for the cops. They're very careful, and they stay a step ahead. And you get the idea that this has been going on for
quite a while.
Years and years, maybe generations. Yeah, although I don't think one fighter would last very long.
Well,
anyway, so that's 13.
That was another. There was a little twist with the Statham and his brother.
Don't give anything away.
Yeah, but I thought that was the idea of what happened to them was interesting.
Oh yeah, indeed. Well, you get the idea that Ray's character is brain damaged. Or he's like, had a nervous breakdown.
It's like he's put into a home until Jason Statham needs him, and he yanks him out again.
Well, that's it. He's a miserable brother, Jason.
Yeah.
He uses his brother to try and win money by risking his brother's life.
Yeah.
But not his.
Yeah.
Not his life. Of course, he's put his own life in jeopardy by borrowing money from criminals.
Yes.
So, and if he doesn't win, he's in big trouble.
Yeah.
So he's got to get that money one way or another. So, we got a few minutes here. I just wanted to ask Mark what he thought of a comedy TV series that is kind of horrific in its own way.
But in a good way.
In a good way. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
It reminds me of Seinfeld on speed kind of thing.
Yeah, or Acid.
Or Acid.
Maybe. Yeah. It is. It looks like a sitcom. It looks like a regular sitcom.
And it's
four friends who own and run a bar, and
not very
and
well.
an older guy who may or may not be related to them. Some of them. So these five people,
and the reoccurring characters that come over and over, they're so hilarious.
Yeah, it's real monsters. Have you seen any of the episodes with that sort of retarded family where there's like, the brother, and he's sort of and they're always drinking milk.
Yeah. That's the recurring
milk.
Character that he comes back a couple of times. Really funny.
And he's got a sister.
Yeah.
Who's like a mute.
Yeah.
But she's
a thin.
She looks like those paintings of Frida Kahlo with the one thick black eyebrow right across above both her eyes, and she just stares like some sort of hideous bird.
Every episode they concentrate on a theme.
Yes.
And they always go to the absurdity.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's never a normal episode. It's always something weird happening.
And the nice thing, Seinfeld would occasionally, something that happened in one episode would carry over to the next episode.
Yeah.
In this one, if they've been caught dumping hideous toxic waste into the city water supply, they have to get out of it the next time. You know? So the gang takes a trip. It's like, we got to go.
So and so looks like a mass murderer.
Yeah.
I like that because they actually used the real actor and put a fat body on him.
Right.
And he did it. He was playing against himself.
Yeah.
But it was funny. He was a child molester.
That's right. Just horrible.
So he's getting all the flack for this guy living in the neighborhood that looks like him.
The only sitcom I can think that is as outrageous, maybe Arrested Development, but definitely Larry David Show.
Mm-hmm.
Curb Your Enthusiasm. the first year of Curb Your Enthusiasm, they touched on child molesting, and there's a scene where Larry says, I'm sorry your aunt died, to his wife, and his wife's whole family is there, all the in-laws, and he says, I'm really sorry about your aunt. Tell you what, I'll go to the paper, I'll get the obituary notice put in, and they have a typo. And there's only one letter difference in aunt, and it has to do with the A being replaced with another letter very close to it in the alphabet. Beloved, not aunt. Oh my God, it's so funny. And this show sort of gets that outrageous. They get that horrible and unpleasant, and they're all awful people.
Well, they're always trying to screw each other.
Yeah, that's their enjoyment. I mean, they do that on Seinfeld, but ultimately, that Jerry would throw a lifeline to Kramer if he was down a pit.
Yeah,
these guys, I'm not so sure.
Yeah.
In fact, I saw an episode recently that I'd seen before where two of the idiots were in an empty swimming pool and they couldn't get out. The ladder had broken. They were absolutely trapped in this Olympic swimming pool, and the other two idiots show up and they're really debating as to whether they'll help them out or not. You can just die down there, Also, Danny DeVito plays Frank Reynolds.
Yes.
He's the fifth character among the other four are younger, one woman and three young men, but Danny DeVito gets a special billing as Frank Reynolds.
Yeah.
Who may or may not be related to two or three of them.
Yeah, any of them.
But may just be a guy. And I don't know if you've seen this one, Mark, but he really made his name, as did Christopher Lloyd, as did Louise Fletcher, on One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Right.
And there's a scene where Frank, Danny DeVito's character, winds up in Looney Bin again, and he's there, just like Martini, the character he played in Cuckoo's Nest, and he's getting his meds, and they have a nurse who looks just like Nurse Ratched. And by the end of the show, he's decided he wants to bust out, and he gets this giant native Indian guy to pull not like the giant marble wash stand out of the ground. This is just like one of those little metal drinking fountains.
Yeah.
And the guy picks it up and throws it through the window, and the last thing you see is Frank running away with the sort of whistling. Oh, it's so funny.
I haven't seen that one.
No, it's so great that he's willing to make fun of the movie that really allowed him to be the writer, producer, director, and star that he is.
Yeah,
for a guy who's 5 feet nothing.
Yeah,
DeVito has really done a lot with his funny little body.
Yes,
because he is an odd looking.
I was
man.
really surprised because the first season of Sunny in Philadelphia, he's not in the series.
No,
and it was a very short series. Must have been a mid-season replacement or something. It was only 6 episodes. Right. So when he showed up the second season, I was shocked.
Yes, because they're no-name actors.
Yeah,
although all three of the young men who star in it, those three have their own production company. One of them created the show. The other two are writers and producers. They write, they produce, and they act. Yeah. So they're really good. And in fact, Charlie Howarth, I can't remember Charlie's last name, but he was just in Pacific Rim. He played one of the two
scientists,
pathetic leftover dregs of scientists. Once the aliens have done so much damage to us, it's time to call in Charlie.
Yeah.
And that shows how desperate humanity is. But he's very funny in that.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's a very funny fellow.
Get very high pitched voice. When he gets excited, he starts squealing like a little pig.
I can't say he's like George in Seinfeld, but he looks a little bit like him.
His hair's thinning at the top, and he's always overreact. Well, they all overreact. That's the problem with them.
Yeah,
it's like Three's Company, but they're dealing with dead bodies.
The show is written in a way that sometimes they're completely clueless of what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's like they're idiots. Yeah. And then other times they make wise choices. So I don't know. It's from show to show it varies. But
they're always trying to one-up each other.
They're all awful people.
Yep.
All of them.
Yep.
So it's like the only thing is that how much can they screw each other?
Yeah. And how much can they take?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
anyway,
funny
folks,
show.
Nothing to do with horror, but just wanted to pass.
They're
that
just
along.
starting their ninth season. Just started. Yeah. So
there's DVD box sets, and it's around here in Vancouver. I watch it midnight. I got like a good hour and a half of comedy. I got Jon Stewart, Stephen Colbert, and then It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia at midnight. But it's out of one of the big U.S. stations, either New York or L.A., which I like because I really enjoy seeing the American ads. And the way they work in Canada is the cable company will cut American ads and put Canadian ads in if the show is also being broadcast on the Canadian network.
But if they don't,
but if it isn't, it's good fun. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's like a Detroit or New York station now. I think of it. So watching those late night American ads are fun. They're all for ambulance chasing lawyers.
Yeah,
a lot of that. Okay, folks, we're gonna call it quits for another week, and don't know what we'll be doing next time. We haven't really done any planning, but. There'll probably be a horror movie or two.
Yeah. We won't be talking comedy anymore.
Well,
unless it's a funny horror movie, which I think we'll be doing a show about funny horror movies in the next little while.
We'll do that soon. We'll probably also do another retrospective. We have to figure out a director we want to talk about.
I know, Spielberg.
Yeah.